is a veteran of 13 years as a professional. Greg Page has just started his 4th year as a pro. Page, with a record of 18-0, 16 by knockouts, is 23 years old. Jimmy Young is 33 years old with a record of 30 wins, 10 defeats, 2 draws, 10 knockouts. And we're underway, round 1. Remember, it's scheduled for 12 because this is a USBA heavyweight fight. Page begins with a short jab. Page in the white trunks with the red stripe.
Break! Step back, both fighters tonight.
Jimmy Young in his 42 professional bouts has been knocked down only twice. He's been the distance at least 10 times, 20 times. And there he's rocked by a Page jab. Jimmy Young took 2 backward steps after taking the jab, and he holds on quickly. A slow start here for Jimmy Young. Page at 6'2" enjoys a 1-inch height advantage, and Page with an 82-inch reach enjoys a 4-inch reach advantage. Page turns lefty here on Jimmy Young in the opening round and crunches him with a straight left hand. Young is hurt and holds on. So Greg Page throwing a changeup at Jimmy Young, who has seen it all before. But perhaps the power of Greg Page will be too much. You can see now 3 times in a row, Jimmy Young is held on after taking a blow from Greg Page. Page in the lefty stance with a straight left hand to the head of Jimmy Young. Young backing up into his own corner, holds on yet again. Halfway through the opening round, no offense yet from Young. Page back to the righty stance. And now Page says, I want you in the center of the ring. Young takes a short right hand from Page, digs a right to Page's stomach. Vincent Ranoni moves in. Since being TKO'd by Jerry Cooney, Jimmy Young has won 5 in a row. Those wins occurred in 1981. This is his first bout since last November. Greg Page coming off a 4th-round knockout of Scott Ledoux last December in the Bahamas. A slow start for Jimmy Young, who leans against the ropes and holds on, but digs a right hand a little slow. Below the waist, gets a warning from the referee, Vincent Ranoni. So Greg Page's big surprise for Jimmy Young was switching to the southpaw stance and drilling him twice with left hand. That'll take care of the opening round. We'll be right back. We're into the second round here in Atlantic City. USBA heavyweight champ Greg Page in the southpaw stance, defending against Jimmy Young. It's scheduled for 12 rounds. And remember, Young has the reputation of being not only a spoiler, but a reputation of making his opponents look bad. He also has a reputation of being a survivor. Page in the white trunks with the red stripe has been switching righty and lefty on Young since the opening bell. Jimmy Young always will be remembered for his bout against Muhammad Ali back on April 30th, 1976. He had been on a 3-year roll with 10 wins and 2 draws. And against Ali, fought very well. Matter of fact, most people at ringside thought he won. But a unanimous decision was given to Ali, the champion. And what's significant to remember about that bout was that the referee gave only 3 rounds to Jimmy Young. Incredible, but it happened. And another controversial bout against Kenny Norton, an elimination bout for the WBC heavyweight title. He lost a split decision. Vincent Ranoni warning Jimmy Young about hitting below the waist, as he did in the opening round. I'm sure you've noticed by now that Jimmy Young is showing very little movement, which of course is a telltale sign about an aging fighter. He's been hanging on the ropes mostly and really not giving Greg Page any side to side. Jimmy contends that he hits harder now because he's more stationary. That last jab by Page gave Young some problems. He's been blinking. He takes a short right hand from Page and evades another one. Getting back to that controversial split decision loss to Kenny Norton. Two judges who scored it in favor of Norton also scored 5 and 6 rounds even. Very discouraging defeat for Young, who went in the tank for a while, but then came back. We're in the second round. Page has been scoring very well with the jab. Young with a double left hook, first to the body and then the head. And Page gave him a look as if to say, I'm not hurt at all. Jimmy Young weighing 226 and a half. Yes, he's bulky. And Page is 229 and a half. Young, waiting for Page to come to him, has shown very little offense. So we're through 2 rounds, and we'll return to Atlantic City. Jimmy Young in the all-white trunks, Greg Page in the white with the red stripe. We're looking at 2 contenders in the top 10. Page ranked number 3 by both the BC and BA. Jimmy Young ranked 7th by the WBC and the WBA. Greg Page with his now familiar low left hand, stalking Jimmy Young. Young hanging on the ropes. And both fighters have been working the body. Page winding up, throws a right hand, and Young holds on. As an amateur, Page was a victor in 90 of his 101 amateur fights, 55 by knockouts. Along the way, he captured 2 national AAU titles. And that left jab of his still slamming heavily against the face of Jimmy Young. Greg Page's biggest disappointment was in 1976 at the Olympic trials. He lost the decision to Michael Dokes. Of course, he liked to meet him as a professional. Jimmy Young there with the jab, getting off first. Page comes back with a hard right hand. Young evaded the second one. Young with a countering right hand, but Page came right back with his own right cross. Young with that left hand dangling at his side now has blood on his face. The cut could be over the left eye. Try and get a closer look. And Greg Page whacks Young with a short right hand. We're in the midst of round 3. It's scheduled for 12. If Young is cut, it is a slight cut because there isn't a whole lot of blood coming out. Young takes a right hand and spun away by Page. So far, these heavyweights have had a battle of jabs, and Page has been there first. 2 straight jabs by Page in the face of Jimmy Young. If Young's plan is to make Page work a lot, well, he's successful. However, he's being hit a lot and heavily. His trainer is Leroy Edmerson.
Come on, Joe.
As you look at Jimmy Young, you're looking at a man who's 33 years old, who's 229 and a half, back in 76 when he fought, he's 226 and a half. When he fought Ali, he was 209. So as he's grown older, he's put on a lot of excess baggage. He insists, however, he's a heavier hitter because of the weight. Well, we'll see. Now, we told you during the third round that there was blood on the left eyebrow of Jimmy Young. It has been wiped away. Apparently, he doesn't have a cut. Can't determine as yet where that blood came from. Neither fighter looks like they're cut on the face. We're in round 4. Page has dominated the previous 3 rounds. He hasn't hurt Young, but he's been peppering his face with left jabs. In the first round, Page switched up, went lefty, and he hammered Young a couple of times with strong left hand. Young battles his way off the ropes with some body work. Smart left hook there by Greg Page. Page still shooting out the jab, scoring at will with it. Double left hook by Greg Page. Young works the body of Greg, and Page gives him a smile. Greg Page, 18-0 with 16 knockouts. Jimmy Young, 30-10-2 with 10 knockouts. That right hand by Page on the top of the head of Young. Both corners say that their men are not cut. So mysteriously, blood in the previous round on the face of Jimmy Young. There's blood on his waistband, but neither corner will confirm a cut. We can't see any. Maybe Vincent Ranoni is cut, the referee. Jimmy Young doesn't need a 22-foot ring. He's been flat-footed from the start, and he's holding on again. For Jimmy Young, this could be the convincer in his boxing career. He told us in our up-close and personal report that this is his final shot. Less than a minute to go in the round. Vincent Ranoni, a veteran of 15 years as a referee, has a couple of big guys to move aside, and so far he's doing the job very well. That right hand by Page is off the shoulder of Young.
Break out. Watch your heads. Back step.
Young breathing with his mouth wide open. That's another telltale sign of fatigue, and we're only coming to the conclusion of the 4th round. Right hand by Page, a lead right. Right hand to the body by Page. 2 strong blows as we come to the end of round 4. We'll return to Atlantic City. Round 5 in Atlantic City. Greg Page in the white with the red trim has been drilling Jimmy Young with that left jab of his. Toward the end of the previous round, he caught Jimmy with a right cross and then a right to the body. Young has been flat-footed and not looking sharp at all. You saw him miss there with the left hook. Jimmy Young, never known for his quickness or his strength, but always a good defensive fighter. He just took a short right hand from Page, right on the left side of his face. Young, flat-footed, takes a left hook to the head again. We have frankly seen Jimmy Young look a lot better than this. There's that left hand dangling at his side. And Greg Page is purposeful. Still stalking his opponent.
All right, step out.
We'd like to alert our stations along the way. We'll be taking a station break at the end of this round. There doesn't seem to be any purpose in Young's strategy. We always knew he was a defensive fighter, but he has done practically nothing offensively here except pound Greg in the midsection occasionally. Page with another left hook to the head of Young. And now it seems as if Page is fighting Young's tempo. He too is slowed down. A right to the body and a left to the stomach, delivered by Page. Will be... what Jimmy Young is giving him, and that is the ability to swat him with the left hand with the jab. Right hand by Page, a glancing blow as Jimmy Young, with the savvy of a veteran fighter, turned his body, turned his head sideways, and just took it at half strength. There's a good right hand by Page, and Jimmy Young was turned around by that blow. He's retreating to his own corner. We'll be back with more of ABC's Wide World of Sports after this word from our local station. Round 6 in Atlantic City. Jimmy Young in the white being pursued by Greg Page in the white with the red trim. Page, the USBA heavyweight champion, defending in this bout, which is scheduled for 12 rounds. Stan Ward was the USBA heavyweight champion until February 7th of 1981, when it was taken away from him by Greg Page in a 7th round knockout. Now, he has defended that title successfully 4 times. This is Greg's 5th defense. The United States Boxing Association is a body that sanctions title fights, as do the WBC and the WBA. At one time, Muhammad Ali was the USBA heavyweight champion. And of course, Greg Page is also from Louisville, Kentucky, who attended the same high school, is following in the footsteps of the great Ali. In fact, one of the few things he hasn't done like Ali was win an Olympic gold medal. But otherwise, it's almost step for step. And this 23-year-old shows great promise. He isn't a complete fighter yet. Jimmy Young trying very hard here, but he hasn't been able to mount an attack. Powder puff punches. Meanwhile, Greg Page scoring with authority. We're just past the halfway mark of the 6th round, and Jimmy Young slipped a long right hand. Young has had several comebacks after disappointing defeats. This is his latest one. He's coming off 5 straight wins in 1981. But today he looks like a tired fighter who's certainly carrying too much weight. And he doesn't seem to have much sting in his punches. Of course, the challenge to Greg Page is to take him out or go the distance. And we know this about Greg Page. Only one man has gone the distance against him, and that's George Chaplin in 2 fights. Over 10 rounds and over 12 rounds. 30 seconds to go in round 6. This, the dullest of all the rounds in this fight. Page with a couple of crackling jabs, a short right hand, a left to the body. Jimmy Young looks perplexed. We're halfway through the scheduled 12-rounder. Greg Page defending the USBA heavyweight title. Round 7, and Greg Page comes out once again stalking Jimmy Young. If you were to put a song to Jimmy Young's effort today, it would have to be the Brahms Lullaby. He's done very little. He's been very quiet. And now Greg Page opening up against Young, who continues to hang on the ropes in that dangerous position. Now he moves out to the center of the ring, and he throws a couple of jabs. listened in on Greg Page's corner, and his handlers told him to keep using that jab. If that's what he's giving you, then continue to use it. Of course, I'm sure that Greg Page wants to look impressive here against Jimmy Young, a named fighter. Neither fighter has been cut or down. Young looks like he's inclined to work a little closer to Page now. And that could be lethal. Short right hand by Page. Caught Young on the chin. Right uppercut by Greg. Caught the chest of Jimmy Young. No damage. Page looking for his 19th straight win, but he says he has plenty of time as far as title contention is concerned. Matter of fact, his attorney was put the WBA on record and the WBC stating that Page wasn't interested in a title fight at least through this year. Page figures he wants to get more experience before he challenges for the championship. Page ranked third by both organizations. Greg Page shaking his head no, he's not hurt. Occasionally Jimmy Young nabs him. Young there with a couple of jabs gets a rise out of the crowd because they're waiting for more offense. Once again, Greg Page has done enough, I believe, to win the round. Continues to score with the jab. Coming up, round 7. Coming up, round 8 in Atlantic City. Just at the end of round 7, Jimmy Young was thumbed in the eye by Greg Page, and Page was warned for the second time by the referee, Vincent Renoni. The other occurrence of thumbing was in the 4th round, and Renoni gave him a warning then. So Greg Page warned twice about thumbing. As if Jimmy Young doesn't have enough problems with Greg Page, he has to worry about thumbing. For the previous 7th round, Greg Page has been dominant with the jab, doing enough scoring to, in fact, I believe, pitch a shutout here against Jimmy Young through 7. We're in the 8th. That right hand picked off by Jimmy Young's gloves as he uses the peekaboo style, comes out of it with a left hook and a right cross. We've had only sporadic action from Jimmy Young. He's been on the take. Some athletes' careers are dotted by one event, and that's the case with Jimmy Young. That title fight against Muhammad Ali back in '76 when he lost by unanimous decision. And many thought, in fact, that he had beaten the great Ali. But it goes down in the record books as a W for Ali and an L for Young. But he'll be remembered for that night. Right hand there by Page hit Young on the left side of the face. Young with a short left hook, nothing else. Greg Page showing some signs of fatigue as well. Page with his now familiar hands at his sides. Of course, that's a cardinal sin for purists, but this young man has racked up 18 wins in a row, despite the fact that he carries his hands low. Less than 30 seconds to go in the 8th round. Young in his own corner, holding on for Vincent Ranoni, the referee. This may have been the best round for Young. Did some punching in this round. Didn't look spectacular, but at least let's go to the end of the 7th round when Young contended that he was thumbed by Greg Page. Here it is with Page moving forward with the left hand, stops it. Page with the left there. Young recoiling in pain, and he's blinking here. He raises his left hand to his left eye, and that's proof positive at that point that he was hurt in the eye. He claims it was thumbing on the part of Greg Page, and Vincent Ranoni gave Page his second warning of the fight. He did the same thing in the 4th. So we're through 8 rounds. We're approaching the 9th. It seems at this point that Greg Page's only problem could be fatigue. Otherwise, he's in control. Round 9 was scheduled for 12 as Page defends his USBA heavyweight title. Young now with some swelling underneath the left eye. It's slight. It's not a whole lot. Greg Page with a right hand as he moved backward. Slams a left hook to the side of Jimmy Young. Not enough zip on it to do any damage. Young is still blinking in the left eye. It is still giving him problems. That thumbing occurred in the 7th round, and you can see how he's trying to protect the eye, and he continues to blink. And as I said, it is swelling. So the punch you saw in slow motion moments ago could be the most key punch in the fight. Page takes a right uppercut from Young. That was Jimmy's best punch of the fight. Page is okay. But Page is slowed down to a walk just like Young. He's fighting Young's tempo. Page is not looking very sharp here in the second half of this fight. And now it is Jimmy Young who's in the center of the ring. Young is getting off first. Page now has to reestablish his own rhythm. He is being suckered into the tempo set by Young, and it is slow. Jimmy Young still flat-footed, but he's been the aggressor here in this round. He just took a heavy jab from Greg Page. And look at it, Jimmy Young back in the center of the ring. Jimmy Young looks like he wants to rumble. Saturday on Wide World of Sports with the National Championship Motorcycle Racing from San Jose, California. And the World Cup Wrestling, the United States against the Soviet Union. Begins at 5 o'clock Eastern and Pacific, 4 o'clock Central Time. Less than 40 seconds to go in this, the 9th round. Page fakes a right, throws a left, flips Young on the chin. Jimmy Young is moving forward now on Greg Page. He's trying to get a rally going. Page picking away with the jab. Short right hand by Young. Page took that flush on the chin. Doesn't look any worse for the punch, though. Coming up, round 10. Round 10 in Atlantic City. Greg Page in the white with the red stripe. Jimmy Young in the solid white trunks, who came on in the previous round with a bit of a rally. We can't say it's a tumultuous rally, but it was a little bit of offense there from Young. And he's been outclassed so far by the younger Greg Page, 10 years younger than Young. Young no longer fighting on the ropes in the center of the ring. All of a sudden, it's a chess match. Both of them very cautious here in round 10. Young batters Page in the stomach, comes up with a right hand to the head. And Page shook his head as if to say he's not hurt. No question about it that Jimmy Young wanted Greg Page to punch a lot over the first 6 rounds. A left hook by Page. That caught Young. Young so far has avoided the other blows and holds on. The challenge here to Page is to stop whatever rally that Young is mounting. Right uppercut by Page. Young backs up again. He's on the ropes again. And as long as Page drills Young, Young will go to the ropes. If Page is quiet like he was in the previous round, he'll allow Young to come out to the middle of the ring. And that's where he's more effective. Despite the fact that Young has been slow, Greg Page may be facing the best boxer he has had to fight as a professional, because Jimmy Young is a technician. That swelling in the left eye of Young has not worsened since the 7th round. However, the thumbing had its effect because Young was ineffectual in the 8th. Mounted a rally in the 9th. Here in the 10th, it's rather even. The fight still, I believe, though, is in control by Page. He won so many of the early rounds. As long as Page gets off first, he will dig that jab in the face of Jimmy Young. But Page has been allowing Young to get off first, and when that happens, Young scores. So far, none of the bombs from Greg Page has hurt Jimmy Young. But Page has scored a lot. That takes care of round number 10. We're going to go to New York and Frank Gifford. Back in Atlantic City, round 11, scheduled for 12 as Greg Page defends his USBA heavyweight championship. Page had a mind to go lefty when he came out, but now has switched back to the righty style. Now, Page, I believe, is in front in this fight. Neither fighter has been cut or down. But Page, I believe, has not distinguished himself against Jimmy Young, who has been lethargic and really hasn't been able to hurt Page at all. So for Greg, unless he knocks out Jimmy Young, it is not going to be a glittering victory. Young with some work with the left hand. We told you earlier that Greg Page said he's not ready for a championship bout, and he went ahead and proved it this afternoon. By Page and a right cross. Good, pretty punch combination, 3-punch combination there delivered by Greg Page. A good learning bout, though, for Greg Page because of the ring savvy of Jimmy Young. Not once this afternoon has Greg been able to intimidate Jimmy Young. But that left cheekbone of Jimmy Young is swelling to some discoloration. It's evidence of the work done by Greg Page. Jimmy Young with a right uppercut. That caught Page on the chin. This is the next to last round, the 11th. Short right hand by Page, and Young came back with a shot below the belt. Greg Page, who was warned about thumbing in the 4th and the 7th, hit Young after the bell, ending the 10th round. 2 good left hands there by Young. Less than 45 seconds to go in the 11th. One more round to go, and it's apparent that Jimmy Young will have to knock out Greg Page to win. He's so far behind on the cards. That's my opinion, at any rate. Less than 20 seconds to go in the 11th. Jimmy Young has picked up some steam here late in the fight, but it may be too late. We'll find out. We've got the final 3 minutes to go. We'll return to Atlantic City. Keep it where it is. The 12th and final round between Greg Page and Jimmy Young. Page very effective over the 6th round. Jimmy Young came back with a bit of a rally, even short of winning the rounds, but at least he mounted an offense. It has not been a good afternoon for Jimmy Young, who at 33 must be wondering about his future as a professional. He just took a right hand from Page and turned around on him. That was the best punch that Greg has thrown today. I've given Jimmy Young only 2 rounds, the 9th and the 11th. I think he needs a knockout to win here. Greg Page in control. Neither fighter has been down or cut. Good left to the body by Young. Triple jab there by Greg. And the crowd here in Atlantic City going for the underdog. They're chanting Jimmy Young's name. Jimmy Young in Puerto Rico mounted a late rally against George Foreman and defeated the former heavyweight champion. We're halfway through the last round. Can Jimmy Young find it within himself to come back and beat the young wonder in the heavyweight division? Young now is stalking Greg Page as we come into the second half of the last round. Jimmy Young will have to catch some lightning in a bottle to do it. He's got a very strong man in there. A big right hand by Young. Page is not smiling this time. Now Young looking for the one shot. Right hand by Page. 45 seconds to go. Perhaps the final 45 seconds of Jimmy Young's professional boxing career. Greg Page trying to look good coming down the stretch, jumping a bit on his toes. Young had the best punch of the round, the right hand on the face of Page, but he hasn't been taking advantage of that. 15 seconds to go. Jimmy Young at 33 years of age, fighting Greg Page in Father Time. And he's running out of time. We'll have the official decision for you in just a few moments. Over the ropes, and so is Greg Page.
Because we need him.
They go the full 12 rounds. In my view, I think Page successfully defended his USBA heavyweight championship for the 5th time. We'll get the official arithmetic in just a moment. He was going to retire. He feels he has done well for his family. He's got a comfortable existence. He has a happy home with his wife Barbara and their 4 children. And he will decide right after this bout if he will continue fighting. That 5-fight winning streak in 1981 convinced him to try against young Greg Page. They're taking plenty of time with the cards, and coming up, the official decision. Here's Ed Darian in the ring.
Ladies and gentlemen, we have a unanimous decision. The scoring as follows. Judge Charles Spina scoring it 56 Page, 53 Young. Referee Vincent Renoni has it 55-53 Page. And Judge Frank Brunette has it 57-53, Page. And the winner, and still...
So the officials scored a unanimous decision for Greg Page using the 5-point system instead of the round system. So Greg Page now 19-0. Successfully defends his USBA heavyweight championship against Jimmy Young. This is Sal